What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 sleepers for this week's Masters. These are golfers that I think will be a little bit overlooked, a little bit under-owned, maybe a little bit further down the betting board, but for whatever reason, the public might be sleeping on them or they might be longer shots. There will be a live stream Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel, so we can go through all of this stuff. Obviously, it's going to evolve as the week goes on, but this is a really good starting point. But without further ado, let's jump into this week's sleepers. Let's start with Justin Thomas, and don't tweet me, Rick, he's not a sleeper, all this stuff. I think of the 10K guys on DraftKings, he's probably the one, as of right now, being most overlooked, right? Bryson is at the top, you've got Rahm in there, you've got DJ now offering great value, and it leaves us kind of shrugging our shoulders at Justin Thomas, who's now 12-1 to win the Masters. And, you know, we've been talking about JT all year long. I mean, I've had a bet in on JT for nearly a year because he's gotten better each and every time he's played at Augusta National. He is someone who can actually win golf tournaments, has thrived in short field events, smaller field events, which is what we're going to get this week at Augusta National. But here's the thing. You know, so much of the industry is overlooking JT because of what DJ, Bryson, Jon Rahm have done. JT won 8 starts ago. And then since then, he's piled up 3 more top 8 finishes, including a T2 at the Zozo Championship in his last start. Had a top 10 at the US Open. He is primed. He is ready to rock and roll. And since the restart, he is the only golfer in this field to lead 2 different major strokes gained categories. He is the best player in the field on approach, and he is the best player in the field around the greens. And when you get some really awkward, nasty situations, difficult lies, and shots at Augusta National around the greens, I want a guy who hits his irons well. I want a guy who can get up and down. I want a guy who hits it far in wet conditions. I want a guy who can win. I mean, JT checks off all the boxes for me. We'll see what his ownership comes in at. Again, we'll refresh on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the live chat. But man, if he's going to fly under the radar as the second highest priced golfer on DraftKings, yeah, I'm all in on that. Matthew Wolff is $8,500 on DraftKings. He's 33-1 to win the Masters. And, you know, if you look at like player correlation, a little player pod correlation, seems to always have similar success to wherever Bryson has success. So obviously, we expect Bryson to be in contention this week at Augusta National. And I think, you know, Matthew Wolff could be, but there are concerns, right? Coming off of his last 2 starts, Matthew Wolff has had his 2 worst off the tee performances of his career. It's a very short career, very young career, but I'm willing to give him a pass for that. You know, the concern is it's his weapon. It's the best part about his game, which makes me think he's going to figure it out. He's not going to go on an extended run of not being able to drive the ball. He's probably not going to have his 3rd worst performance ever, right, in a row. He's had a couple of weeks to figure this out. He hasn't played since, I believe, the Zozo Championship. So he's just someone that I think with his ability to figure it out, to make a ton of birdies, to threaten a couple of eagles throughout the week, you know, the game maturing at such a light speed, I think Matthew Wolff is pretty interesting, and I think there's going to be people who are down on him from his last 2 results who are going to say a debutant cannot win here, which, hey, it doesn't happen often, but he doesn't need to win. You know, if you're playing him on DraftKings and he finishes T8, you're probably very thrilled with that outcome because he probably sneaks an eagle in there somewhere. I mean, I just really like the way he sets up for fantasy scoring, even more so than betting him outright at 33-1. Scottie Scheffler is really interesting at $7,800 on DraftKings and 66-1 to win the Masters. You know, he was absolutely dealing. He was rolling coming down the stretch of last season before testing positive for COVID-19, forcing him to miss out on a couple of weeks, and he missed out on the US Open. And he's been trying to shake off the rust since then. And I thought he was rounding into form after the Zozo Championship, heading into the Houston Open last week. And maybe I was half right. I mean, he had rounds of 67, which was great, 75, 72, 65. So he bookended his week with 2 really great rounds. The middle 2 were not good at all. But again, I kind of liken this a bit to Matthew Wolff. His ability to make birdies, his ability to improve his position in DraftKings scoring at $7,800. Now you're looking at a stretch of golf that he only has one top 20 in his last 5 starts. And I think that looks worse on paper than it actually is. So for me, Scottie Scheffler, and again, we'll check this ownership number on Wednesday, is really, really interesting as someone who I think can provide a lot of value out there. Maybe a little top 5 bet on him as those numbers start to be released. Someone who can really contend and inject themselves into the top of the leaderboard at the Masters. Jason Kokrak, 100-1 and $7,000 on DraftKings. Remember him? Remember he won the CJ Cup 2 starts ago? Yeah, and even more impressive, I don't know what's more impressive. The fact that he won the CJ Cup, which was a stacked field, but that he followed it up the next week with a T17 in another stacked field after his first victory. You know how hard it is for guys to win for their first time in 300 starts and then follow it up with another good performance the next week? Impressive stuff from Kokrak, but we shouldn't be surprised. He has 6 top 20 finishes in his last 7 starts. The only one he doesn't was a miscut at the Shriners. He's been phenomenal since the end of last season. And if Augusta National is wet, if it's playing longer than normal, you're going to want bombers. And Jason Kokrak was 7th on tour in driving distance last season. He offers a ton of flexibility in your lineups. I don't know if he can actually win this golf tournament. Again, debutant, going to make his first start, 5.5-1 to finish in the top 10. Pretty interesting number for someone who won 2 starts ago. I'm very, very interested in Jason Kokrak. And then finally, Cam Smith at $7,300 and 100-1 to win the Masters. And you want to talk about kind of under the radar consistency? Cam Smith hasn't missed a cut in 10 starts. So 10 straight weekends made. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 25s in that stretch. His last 2 are his best 2, a 4th place finish at the Zozo Championship and an 11th place finish at the CJ Cup. I don't generally like the way he does it, right? Kind of a short game specialist. He puts the lights out. That concerns me, but this is a course where you need to be a strong short game player. It's not particularly long. Cam Smith's never missed a cut in his 3 trips to Augusta National. He finished, 5th 2 years ago? And if all of that is not good enough for you, you think back to the Sony Open this year and the wet conditions that they had, similar to what we might see in Georgia this week, and Cam Smith comes out on top, winning the Sony Open. I mean, it just feels like this is a really good spot for him. Recent form, history, course setup, potential weather he might be comfortable in. I mean, this just feels like a really good spot to deploy him and see if he can find himself on the first page of the leaderboard. There you go. My top 5 sleepers for this week's Masters. Again, check in on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, live chat, Rick Run Good YouTube channel. We will go through ownership, questions and answers, any bets you want to make, what the weather is looking like, all that good stuff. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at RickRunGood. There's going to be so much content this week. I hope you enjoy. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you guys soon.